Absolutely not, Madden. Well done for making it. I know you were on a really quick turnaround, so it's lovely to see you there. And hello to everybody else. So Madison, are we recording, Madison? You're Maddie. I know that. It's just it says Madison.
Madison. Yeah, either's fine. Yeah, we're now recording, so you're all
perfect. Okay. Are you good? Shall I go then?
Yep. Go.
Perfect. Right. Well, good afternoon. Oh no, it's probably not, is it? Actually, it's morning still for everybody over there, right? Which is the first thing to point out. I'm actually over in Dubai, so apologies for that. So good morning to you in the UK. Good afternoon from me here in Dubai. I am Shelley Bosworth. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a second, but you can come and check me out if you want to find out more. I am going to talk to you this afternoon quite swiftly and quite top line, because we're going to cover money mindset and money sabotages, because they are intrinsically linked. So I'm going to take you through what money mindset is. You've probably heard the term, and you may even know what it is. Maybe you've done some work on this. I'm just going to bring it back as a reminder to context as I talk about sabotages. I'm going to get you thinking about your own money mindset. And then I'm going to talk to you about some common money sabotages linked to our money mindset. And my style is very practical. So I'm going to give you some tips along the way of how you can address those if it feels like it's resonating for you, or if I hit a nail on the head for you and you're like, okay, yeah, this is great, that's me, what do I do? I'm going to give you just a couple of tips to start the journey of addressing that. So, as I said, just really, really quickly, a little bit about me, because you're not here for that. You're here to hear about money mindset and money sabotages. Cheryl has wonderfully introduced me as her coach, and I am, and I've been Cheryl's coach for a while. I am a business and mindset coach. I have been so for just over 5 years now. I'm the founder of the She Is Courageous Collective, an online community for women. So I know there might be some men in the audience here. I do work with some men too, but my real passion is supporting women like myself to help women everywhere realise they are capable of more than they ever imagined, and to show them how to make it happen. Now, the work I do is across strategy, skills, and mindset, because you cannot have one without the other. A really, really quick background, and why do I get to be here? So I spent 25 years in the corporate world in the UK. I worked in retail and hospitality, and I climbed the ladder. I'm not degree educated. I went straight out, got a job, and worked my butt off, because I had a list of things that I wanted to achieve. I got the house, I got the car, I got the shoes, I got the handbag. I was doing very, very well. But I guess I just kind of ran through life and didn't really know where it was taking me, because I was brought up very traditionally to believe and taught you work hard at school, you get a good job, you work all your life with a really good benefits package, and then you retire. And that's not a slogan of my parents. That is basically what I was taught. And so that's what I did. I am from Essex. So I grew up in Essex, moved away, came back, moved away, came back. And then I got married in my late 30s, and in short, our life pivoted in a moment. 5 days after our wedding, my father-in-law was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at the age of 63. He deteriorated very quickly and passed away 3 years later. 9 months after that, my mother-in-law was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she passed away 11 weeks later. So we said goodbye to both of my husband's parents in less than a year. Now, I share that because that was my pivotal moment. In that period of time, I turned 40. I had a health scare of my own, and I started working with a coach. And the output of me working with a coach was I decided I wanted to train as a coach. I wanted to help women like me who did not know where they were going, what was going on. I felt like they just ended up somewhere, and perhaps they were on the wrong path. Fast forward, here we are. I started my business in 2020 before the world went mad. I could tell you lots of stories about the last 5 years, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to share with you that over the last 5 years, I've built the business. I've moved to Dubai with my husband, and we are now happily settled here. And I continue to run the business very similarly to that, which I did 5 years ago, but it's grown along the way. Now, I am obsessed with money. I'm obsessed with mindset, as Cheryl will tell you, but I'm also a little bit obsessed with money mindset because I'm really honest and open about how I've had to work on my own. Before I started the coaching practice, I knew nothing about money mindset. I didn't know what it meant. Absolutely, Maddie, sorry, I should have said any questions, pop them in the chat box, and I'm happy to take them as we go. My money mindset has been intrinsic to my success in business, but also very personally. It is an absolute ongoing journey, and I'm so glad I've learned what I've learned. The sabotages I'm going to share with you, I've made all of them. And I would be lying if I stood here and said, I've got a perfect money mindset and I never sabotage when it comes to money. And I think anyone that stands there and says they've got a perfect money mindset and never sabotage when it comes to money is not telling themselves, let alone anybody else, the truth. So I stand here as someone that keeps it real, and I'm going to share with you probably some little insights along the way to my own money mindset. So I am known for quotes and things, and I just wanted to start before we get into the nuts and bolts of it with saying, money will only make you more of what you already are. Now, I'm really happy if you want to throw in the chat box, what does that make you think when I say it? And I'll just kind of talk a little bit about what I mean by that. More money will not remove all of our challenges in life. And most of us would like more money, right? What more money does do is make it easier to deal with challenges. But the truth is, when it comes to money, we will all at some stage encounter some money mindset. And I'm going to use the word challenges. It's not one of my favorite words to use, but we do. And most of us do that, particularly within our businesses. And most of us absolutely in business say we want more money. That's the goal of business, right? We're here to make money. It's not a business if we're not. And so we want to grow our businesses, we want to make more money. But sometimes what we don't realize is not only can having more money make challenges easier, but having more money when we have money mindset challenges will exacerbate any issues we already have in our businesses too. So I sometimes say to people, look, if you're not a nice person, having more money will not make you a nicer person, okay? In fact, it could exacerbate that situation. But if you're a lovely person, then having more money will probably make you an even lovelier person. If you have worries about the responsibility of money, this is for you today. If you think you're not good with money, this is going to hit home for you today. If you are a good saver, I can still point out there's probably some stuff in there for you today. So more money will only make you more of what you already are, unless you have an awareness of how it could be playing out and not serving you so well. So I thought I wanted to just kind of make sure we all understand what is money mindset, and I'm going to just get you thinking about yours. Now, what is money mindset? That could be an entire session of its own. So I'm going to do this relatively swiftly. When I talk about mindset is your set of beliefs. It's your set of beliefs based on your experience and your learnings of the world. It's your beliefs about you. It's your beliefs about the world around you. It's your beliefs about the people in the world around you. And it's your beliefs about where you fit in this world. When it comes to money, our money mindset is exactly that, but specifically talking about money. Our money mindset is our belief about money, our relationship with money, our ability to use money, and what we're allowed to do with money. We all have a money story because money is an intrinsic part of the world we live in. So our money story is how we have been taught to think and feel about money, probably by our parents or by the authority figures in our lives. We also learn from the culture that we grow up in. We learn from the media that we consume. We learn from all of the information around us how we should, could, and are with and about money. And the bulk of our money story will have been formed by the age of 7. Because that is where the bulk of our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us are formed. So scientifically speaking, and I'm not a neuroscientist, this is all the research, by the age of 7, we have essentially formed our beliefs. And then what we tend to do is spend the rest of our lives proving those beliefs to be truth. So for many of us, okay, when it comes to money, what this means is we are interacting with money, playing with rules about money, limiting ourselves perhaps with money, all based on what we learned as a child. And so there's a lot about mindset. Basically, we're all kids running around in adults' bodies, okay? And that's how we're all then behaving until we're not, until we raise our awareness of this, until we start to understand how that may be playing out and what we can do with it. The money story that we are telling ourselves right now does not have to be our story forever. Okay, it is only the mindset that we have adopted. It is what we've learned and therefore carried with us. So we have to understand our money story. We have to understand what we currently believe about money in order to do anything about it. Okay. Now I'm just going to almost go back a step. This here is, here's my bear. This is the work that I do all the time, okay? And I use the acronym BEAR, and this plays to everything, but we're obviously talking about money today. So BEAR, B-E-A-R, belief, emotion, action, reality. I've just talked to you about we all have a money story. We've all learned to believe something about money. We've learned to believe about ourselves with money. What we believe is what creates our feelings. Okay, so, and money is a very emotive subject, let's be honest, okay? So the emotion that is attached to money will create the feeling. It might create feelings of fear, it might create feelings of comfort. Money might make you feel safe, money might make you feel the exact opposite. It is based on the feeling that we act. Everything we do or don't do is a result of how we feel about something, and the feeling comes from what we think, our beliefs. But it's what we do or don't do that creates our reality. So if I now make that slightly specific to money, if we have a belief, let's go with something really, really classic. If we have a belief that rich people are greedy, that probably creates a relatively negative feeling within us about rich people. The likelihood is that the action that plays out in is we do not want to be rich because we have a feeling about being rich that is negative. So we would likely do things or not do things that would hold us back from being rich. I should put that in inverted commas, which means our reality is we would not be rich. I'm using that just as a really simple classic example, and hopefully just that really simple walkthrough helps you understand what I mean by the BEAR acronym. That is our mindset playing out in every single thing related to money. Okay? So it's what we believe that makes us feel, that makes us act or not, and that creates our reality, which we all know on a really logical level, right? So the question is, what is your money story? Now I'm going to share with you a few questions to ponder, or I'd encourage you right here, right now, if you've got pen and paper with you, just write down whatever your first answers are, because it can be really telling. And the truth is, when we spend too much time on something, we think and we talk ourselves out of our own truths, okay? So here's some questions that will help you think about your money story. What is your first memory of money? Whatever just came up for you, whatever the first thing that sprung to mind, just write it down. What is your first memory of money, with money? What did your family believe about money and how it worked? So think about what conversations did or didn't happen at home. I grew up, I said I'm happy to give lots of insight. So I grew up in a world where basically if I had £1 for every time I heard we can't afford that, I'd have been rich. Because that's what we grew up in a world where, or I grew up in a world, I have sisters, that's why I say that we, I absolutely, in our family, we did not believe we had enough money. There was never enough. We always had to work really hard for it. That's what my family believed. That's what my parents learned. That's what they witnessed. And they brought that with them into our family. I grew up in a family that didn't really talk about money because we didn't have a lot of it. So what did your family believe? What did you watch? What did you see in the family in terms of how money worked? And then what do you believe about you and money? Right here, right now in 2025, when you think about the things that you say when it comes to money, do you say, we can't afford that? Even when actually the truth is you have the money for that thing. Cheryl will have heard me say this before. This is my mantra that comes out for every mindset session. So I grew up on the other line, people like us don't. So I have an inherent belief, people like me don't. People like me don't live in Dubai. People like me don't run businesses. People like me don't have, and I'm going to be really crass for a second, I'm materialistic, but we're talking money. People like me don't have a Louis Vuitton handbags. Because people like me don't have money to do things like that. People like me will never have money to do that. But I was also taught to be really good with money. So I am a saver. And I know that I'm a saver. I will look for the best price on everything. So what do you believe about you and money? What do you know right here, right now? What's your current truth about you and money? Are you good with money? You're not so good with money. Spender, saver, love it, don't like it. What are the sayings? Here's my next question. What are the sayings you grew up with? I'm going to make lots of assumptions around age range here, but I think some of these have gone on for generations. Money doesn't grow on trees, Money makes the world go round. Money's the root of all evil. Once you start, they all come flooding back. But actually, they're all really important because they're the things we've learned. What do you believe about people who have a lot of money? So I mentioned that some people have learned that rich people are greedy. Some people have learned that rich people are the best people in the world because they help others, because they can. Some people grew up in the 80s and watched a lot of Dynasty, and all the women that had money were bitches. All of this stuff manifests, and I don't mean in the woo sense of look up to the universe and ask for, manifests as in creates the beliefs you have. So what do you believe about people that have a lot of money? What do you think people will think of you if you have a lot of money? Now, I make no qualms about sharing some of these questions. We are all business owners. We are all here because we want to grow our businesses. We want to do better. We want to understand how we can take things forward. And I've said it already, growing our businesses ultimately means bringing in more money. So I am taking that route for a specific reason. There is a lot of digging that you can do on this. And like all mindset work, new stuff can come up all the time. And I'll share a really quick insight. So I've done a lot of work on me and my money mindset. And then my husband was made redundant. And in a split second, it was like every piece of work I'd done on myself was for nothing, because in that moment, I spiraled into, I literally, in about 5 minutes, I had catastrophized, we were going to lose everything, all because my husband was made redundant. But the facts and the truth were there was money in the bank, we were fine. But in that moment, my fears of not having money came right up to the surface. And that subconscious stuff is always waiting to come back out. So we start with understanding a little bit of our money story. But I just want to kind of point out that this stuff is always going on. And actually, they talk about new level, new devil. I say new level, old devil, because with every level of growth we go through, those deep inherent beliefs and understanding of how the world works come back. Because actually, I'm in my late 40s and I've been carrying a lot of stuff for a really long time. So I'm still working to outweigh that and take it in a different direction. But we need to understand our money story to be able to then think about, well, how's that playing out today? Because the truth is, if you have not done a lot of work on your money mindset and you haven't got a base level understanding of how you think about money and haven't ever really thought about, and I hadn't until 5 years ago, if you've never really had the chance to think about how this stuff might have affected you, then it's probably playing out right now without you even realizing it in terms of blocks and sabotages. So I don't say that to scare, I say that to raise awareness. But the good news is, if there are some repeating behaviors, you can recognize them quicker. And for most of us, there will be. There will be certain things that actually, if we start to get honest with ourselves, we will realize that some of the stuff that we have learned, we've been carrying for so long, it's playing out time and time and time again. And then there's a little bit of the Pandora's box. Once you open the box, you can't put the lid back on. All right. And this is a business, called generally, but this does play out in life too. And so a little bit of life for you, but this is true too. We can't afford that. We can't afford that. Still to this day, I can see Cheryl on the screen. I feel like everything I say, she's going to snigger because she's had some of these things before. Sorry, Cheryl. When you've got that highlight. I'm so honest, as Cheryl will share. I'm happy to share this because I think it's really important to keep it real, and sometimes it helps others notice things themselves. So I still to this day, when I'm online shopping, one of the first things I do until I notice I'm doing it is go straight to the top of the page and rank everything price low to high. Because my mindset is that I have to start at the budget. I have to find the cheapest. And the reality is, the facts, I don't actually have to do that anymore. That's years of being told we can't afford, you have to find a cheaper option, or we can't have it at all. And that's what I mean about this stuff can play out so subtly. So, What is your money story? Just have a think right now about what's coming up for you as I'm chatting. Just really notice what you notice and then bring it to present day. Think about how is that playing out for you right now in life and your business. Are you a spender or are you a saver? Are you a worrier about money or are you one of those that I dream of being that's like, there's always more. Don't worry, there's more where that came from. What do you say about yourself and money? What do you tell others about yourself and money? Another phrase, money burns a hole in her pocket. That wasn't me, that was my sister. But do you then take that with you? And I've had people say to me, yeah, I'm terrible with money. It just burns a hole in my pocket. Which is a really strange phrase because of course it doesn't, but. So when you start to think about your money mindset story, and then you start to look at how do I behave with money right now? Am I good with money? Do I think I'm good with money or do I think I'm bad with money? Why do I think I'm bad with money? Is it because I spend money? Is it because I won't spend money? Is it because I'm really good at saving? Is it because I've never ever got anything in the bank at the end of the month? What's your current financial situation versus where you want to be? Because that's the real crux of this. Your money mindset is very likely, and I say that with great confidence, impacting whatever it is you want to be achieving in terms of financials, whatever that means for you. So I'm using the example of we all want more money in business because we want to grow. Well, are you? Are you growing? Have you plateaued? You hit a ceiling point. You've been stuck at a ceiling point for a period of time. There can be stuff in that. Are you miles from where you want to be, and yet you feel like you're working so damn hard? Why the hell isn't it ever coming? Do you find yourself riding the roller coaster of feast and famine? Whatever it is, do not judge yourselves for it. Acknowledge it because it's telling you your story. It's telling you not only where you are, but it's helping you identify, well, what's causing that for me? What comes up for me? Why am I there? Now I could go through I could plant lots of seeds. Maybe you've got lots of money in the bank. Maybe you've not got any in the bank. Maybe you've got lots invested. Maybe you don't agree with investing. I used to work for someone who was like, I'm never going to buy a house. The money he spent on rent. I'm the complete opposite. Can't bear giving all my money to rent. But all of that is about my beliefs about money, what I've learned. Maybe you feel guilty for spending money. Maybe you don't at all. The point is, actually, when you start to understand your money story and everything you've learned has become your beliefs about you and money, and they can be two parts, because there'll be what you believe about money and what it means in the world, and there'll be your beliefs about your ability with money, and then there's your current situation. And the key to this is, can you join the dots? Can you notice, perhaps like I shared, that actually when you've grown up being told we can't afford, people like us don't spend money like that actually you're always having that subconscious thought process. So that's just, and that is whistle stop. I do appreciate that, okay? But it's just about starting to think about, what did I grow up learning? What did I see? What did I hear? How am I behaving now? Is there a correlation? Now, the correlation can also be the direct opposite. I have known people that have gone, that's how I grew up. We had nothing. I've worked my backside off to earn all this money, but sometimes other things can play out. So we hear about people all the time that make their millions, lose the lot. Or we hear about people that grew up with wealth and have nothing now. Because everybody's story is different and everybody's experience of the story will be different. I have 3 sisters and we have very, very different attitudes and approaches to money, even though we grew up in the same household. So hopefully that's helpful just to really get you thinking about your money mindset, because it is a bit of a minefield. But like everything, I always say awareness is the first step of change. I could come in here and say, these are the 5 sabotages when it comes to money mindset and business, but it would mean nothing if you haven't done that first piece of just sense checking in with what have I learned, what have I grown up to believe about me and money, and how am I behaving with money now, seeing if there's some correlation. So hopefully that's what you're thinking first and foremost. Okay, so the meaty bit are the sabotages. So when I'm talking about a sabotage, I love this image because this basically depicts exactly what sabotaging is. Okay, self-sabotage is when we do or don't do things that stop our success, whatever that means, okay, in life and business. We literally get in our own way. We literally do things that prevent us from accomplishing what we say we want. Now, this can happen very unconsciously and it can happen very consciously, okay? And you might know straight away that there are some really conscious things you do that absolutely sabotage things. And we do this to protect ourselves, by the way. But it can also be very subconscious. That's why understanding our mindset is important. But in short, it's us getting in our own way. And we do it because we don't have the understanding or the awareness of what's going on underneath the surface. So our money mindset can create what we call money blocks that can actually cause us to sabotage our own financial success. So in terms of money sabotages, I am simply saying what we might not realize is sometimes we do things that hold us back from achieving because our beliefs and what we want aren't actually in alignment. We say we want real great financial success, but actually we don't necessarily believe we can have it, that we can cope with it, etc., etc. So the two aren't aligned. The way I used to describe this is like trying to drive a car with one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. You are going nowhere. So when we, and I've used the term, used this phrase all the way through, we want more money, but if we think that people with more money are bad, greedy, not very nice, we're unlikely to allow ourselves to have more money. If we think we want more money, but we don't think we're very good with money, we're unlikely to allow ourselves to have more money. So then if you start to think about, well, how could this be playing out in business? I believe there are 5 key sabotages. There will be lots, but these are the 5 that I see most commonly across the people that I work with and the networks I'm in. And they are in no particular order, albeit the first one will be probably the most common, okay? But I want to be clear, this is not ranked in order of importance or the most I see it. They are simply the 5 sabotages I see time and time and time again. All right, so the first one is the classic. I don't know anybody that hasn't been through this cycle. This is absolutely the biggest money sabotage and the most common, and it is the pricing challenge. It's the undercharging specifically and equally giving stuff away for free. Now, this is not a strategy on pricing session, okay? That's a whole other conversation. This is about when our money mindset is playing out in our pricing or our undercharging or our incessant need to give more and more away for free. I see it all the time. I did it when I first started out. I absolutely undercharged and I absolutely gave away way too much for free. And I don't have a problem with free stuff, but there's free stuff and there's free stuff. And actually this is about worth. But it's also about what we learn to believe about what people will or won't pay. Now, this will be coming up differently for everybody, and it might not be a challenge for you, which is great, by the way. We could all learn from that. But essentially, what I see very often, here are some of the common things I see or hear. People will say to me, people won't pay that much. What that really means is I wouldn't pay that much because of whatever reason. And it might be you don't see the value on it. It might be because you have a money mindset story that believes you don't deserve to pay that much. Okay? A lot of pricing mindset challenges can come from a lack mindset. It's a lack mindset that there is not enough money. There's not enough people with the money that I want them to have. A lot of pricing is self-worth related. Now, I'm really conscious that's a big statement to make. But what we do is we convince ourselves that actually no one will pay us for what we know we're really good at, or actually it's not worth that, because we start to question our own value. And the challenge here is we're putting our value on the wrong thing. We're putting our value on ourselves rather than the service or the product. Sometimes we love what we do so much that we almost feel guilty for charging for our services. And there's a lot drummed into us about being grateful. And so I hear people talking about, well, I should just be grateful because I get to do this and I don't have to work for someone else. At the crux of it, what we do here is we jump into other people's pockets and we decide what they can or can't afford, rather than actually looking inwards and really owning what we've got, what we offer, and what it's worth, and allowing ourselves and giving ourselves the chance to deserve to be recompensed for that. So the questions to ask yourself, if pricing is an ongoing challenge for you, if you know you continue to undercharge, and if you have a sneaky feeling you give way too much even when you are actually charging, and that can be very common, you know, throwing in the bonus and the discount, and I'll put this in, and it's almost like justification. What did you grow up to learn and believe about value, about pricing? So I've used my example of the shopping, low to high. That's really played out for me when I've been investing in my business. I've had to really catch that and stop myself, because that's not always the right thing when it comes to investing in your business, is it? Maybe you had parents, people around you that constantly talked about how expensive things are. All of this stays with us. I work with a client who worked in the equestrian world. She grew up being told absolutely categorically, there is no money in horses. They just drain your money. And yet she runs a very successful equestrian business. But that has manifested in her believing there's no money in the equestrian world, therefore they will not pay me. So what comes up for you when I'm talking about pricing and charging? Make a note of it. Now, from a coaching perspective, I just want to remind everybody, if you are doing the work, which you are, you deserve to be paid fairly for that. And you deserve to be paid fairly and correctly for all of your work. And fairly and correctly is whatever you want that number to be. But here's the thing, when you act as if your work isn't important or of value, then others will devalue it too. If you do not believe in the value of what you offer, how can anyone else? Now, I'm not telling you all to go hiking up your prices. That is not what today is about. I'm asking you to check in with what comes up for you, because this is the number one sabotage. The number one sabotage is pricing, because what we end up doing is overworking and not reaping the rewards that we absolutely deserve. And I'm just here to probe your thoughts today. So, I can't tell you what to charge, but I can remind you to remind yourself of the value that you add to others. If you are in a situation where you have not raised your prices for a period of time, or you feel resentful about what you're currently charging because you're not where you want to be, take a fact check of you and your business. Remind yourself of everything that you've achieved, all of the work that has gone into you being the business owner that you are. I don't want to make a total assumption. I've got accountants on the call, of course. So whatever your business is, because actually that just jumped to my head. Whatever you've done, you have learned a skill, you've honed your skills, you are good at what you do. You need to fact check and remind yourself. Remind yourself of all the previous clients and customers that have paid you. And then ask yourself what you really want to charge and what's really stopping you doing so. Because the key here is to check in what is the real thought that you are having about why you cannot charge more. And I always talk about fact check when it comes to our mindset. Is it true? Whatever you're telling yourself, is it true? How do you know it's true? No one will pay that. How do you know no one will pay that when you're not even trying to charge it? Where's the evidence that people will not pay it? More importantly, go look for the evidence that people do pay that. If you are telling yourself you're not as good as the person that is charging that, check out your reviews, remind yourself just how good you are. Remind yourself of everybody you've ever worked with, everybody that's giving you their money. They cannot be wrong. Ultimately, your beliefs about your worth, about your value, will drive your decisions around pricing. Now, as I said, I can't tell you how to price your product in this call, okay? But there are lots of ways that you can just check back in. You can look at, what is it that I actually offer as a service, breaking that down. What enables you to be able to deliver that? What training, what qualifications, what experience you've got? And then check back in on that number. What do you really want to charge? If you are currently underpricing, undercharging, have not put a price increasing for a while, you are sabotaging your own success, and you are making it harder and harder the longer this goes on. So that is the first one, and I appreciate that's quite a big subject, and I've gone relatively quick. But there are 4 more I want to share with you. The second, and then, as I said, this is not in any particular order, but the second biggest sabotage I see when it comes to money mindset, and particularly how it impacts our business, is not investing. So I use the plant pot analogy. We do not wait for a plant to grow so big that it cracks the pot. We replant it, we move it, we put it into an area or environment, in a better pot, in a better environment, so it can grow. We give it what it needs. We feed it, we water it. Don't let yourself crack like the plant pot, is essentially what I'm saying. Number one thing I see not being invested in is support in the business. And I'm not necessarily going to say I'm hiring, but actually we put everything upon ourselves. And this is a money mindset piece, because if there's a no, I can't afford, I don't deserve, we don't have enough money yet, how much money do you need to have? If you are doing all the things, then firstly, you're probably doing some things you're not very good at, or you're muddling through without the right resources because you don't want to spend money. But what you're not doing is giving yourself and your business the opportunity to grow. Not investing is a massive sabotage for your business. Now, when we all start out, there is no money. I get that, okay? There's nothing coming in. All there is stuff going out. But as your business grows, really think about, really notice now, how far have you grown without giving yourself the investment you need? I once heard someone say, your business can only grow to the level that you enable it to grow, or the level that you can grow. So it's really important to think about, what do you need in order to grow? And this is about flipping it and not making it about the money, but making it about where you're trying to take you and your business. Where are you best in your business? What's stopping you doing what you are best at? And do you believe you deserve help, support to grow to the next level? Now, this can play out in life too, about not spending on things you need, settling for less, holding on to the old stuff, not replacing because it still works fine. But actually not investing in your business, in your life, and the things that will make your life easier, better, is holding you back from the next level that you want to be at. So I can be really obvious and say you can't grow on your own, but it's not always just about hiring employees, especially if money was tight, okay? That's not always the case. But it is about just really thinking about, where would it help if I could invest in my business? And then rather than the narrative you may be holding on, I can't spend, I don't make enough money, flipping that on its head. What do I need to do to be able to? What would I need in order to be able to invest? And make that the goal. Because when we hold on to the narrative of I can't, I'm not in a place where I can't afford, that's all we're focusing on. We don't move through and past into the positive, how do I get where I need to? Link that back to your story. What's really coming up for you there? What's really telling you that you cannot spend money? Because often it's not actually about the investing in the business. There is a deep inherent belief that you're not allowed to spend. The third, checking my time, is over the other end of the extreme, overspending. I have so many clients who've come to me and said, I am working my absolute butt off and I have nothing to show for it in business and life, okay? And I've got one of these for a sister too. I've got 3 sisters, we play out all the roles. So when we get talking, when people come to me with their business and say, I'm working so hard and I have nothing to show for it, sometimes it can be about pricing. Sometimes it can be about investing. It can be about, well, that's because your time is not in the right places. But actually, it can also very often be about spending money on the wrong stuff, spending money constantly, the next course, the next system, that new shiny thing, everything. They've got everything, but actually time and energy is not being used to grow and bring in the revenue. There are lots of people who, as fast as they bring the money in, they spend it. Maybe you've always been a spender. Maybe you believe you're not good with money. And this is a really classic one. So many kids grow up with the narrative that they are not good with money. And that can manifest deep-rooted as not holding on to it because we don't trust ourselves to have money. And therefore what we do is spend it. Now we spend it on what we think are good things, courses, gifts for clients, shiny new objects, that new thing that will definitely be the thing that makes the business work this time. But at the root of it, there is a need to not have money. Where's that coming from? So a couple of things that could be going on. I've already said it. Did you grow up being told you were a spender and you're just playing out the role that's put on you as a label? Do you worry about having money? Because sometimes this can be where we fear the responsibility that money brings. Do you feel you deserve money? Or an absolute classic with the spenders is worries about other people's opinions of us having money. So subconsciously, we don't allow ourselves to keep money. So what do you need to do? You need to get honest with yourself, first and foremost, and acknowledge that you are overspending or spending a lot. You may not be overspending. You may not be spending more than you've got, but spending and then not having anything left for you. And the other thing that I really recommend doing is paying attention to where does your money go. Now, that may seem so obvious, and I know there will undoubtedly be stuff from Cheryl around managing, tracking, and managing finances, tracking finances. But this is getting really honest about where does your money go. This isn't just paying attention to the invoices. This is where are you actually spending your money? What are you actually doing with it? How often do you really look at all the transactions in the account? There's a theory, it's called the dinner plate theory. This may or may not land very well, but I thought I'd share it. The dinner plate theory is that if you have a big plate, you're going to want to eat everything on it. The bigger the plate, the more food we put on it, because no one likes waste. We eat all of it, okay? So if you want to eat less, you've got to start with a smaller plate. Same applies to spending. So what spenders tend to do is want to spend all of their income. It's not even a conscious thing. They just do it. So actually use the dinner plate theory and think about if you want to spend less, perhaps only give yourself, let me reword that. If you want to spend less, give yourself less to spend. You can force your hand on things. Think about how can you move monies? How can you invest monies? Remove the temptation to eat your income, literally. It's a really great tactic that starts small. So you could start by setting up an automatic transfer every month, every week, if that's helpful for you. Crikey, I know someone that did it every day. Whatever helps. But these tiny little tactics can really help you take control, because out of sight is out of mind, and you can build into a separate account. But I absolutely encourage you just to kind of go back into that money mindset story. What could be causing it? Because if you can recognize the story, you can release yourself from it, because you're not that person anymore. You get to choose who you are going forward. Spend all you want to spend, but if you don't want to be spending, you get to choose. Used a horse for Shelley. Hiding from the numbers. Okay, so financial awareness. Financial awareness, we all know this, it's critical to our financial success, particularly in business. And so many of us are terrible for telling ourselves that we're just not good with numbers. Just don't understand it all. I do this a lot, and then I get my husband to deal with it. And it's because I don't want to. But actually, I'm a control freak and I like to know what's going on. But if you are someone that dreads the thought of checking the account, is there a fear behind it? Are you actually hiding from what's going on in there? Or is it you're telling yourself you don't understand it? Do you review your business performance? If I say P&L, do you say yuck? Or what the hell is she talking about? Or do you, like me, go, yeah, P&L? Bit geeky like that. If you are not financially aware, if you are hiding from your numbers, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. Keeping that stuff out of sight, out of mind is not helping you show yourself that you can understand it, do understand it, and can do something with it. The money mindset here is that piece around telling ourselves, I'm just not very good with numbers. I worked with someone who very simply realized that at school, her maths teacher had said to her, maths just isn't your subject. Guess how that played out? I'm no good with numbers. I'm no good with money. And she was no good with money until she realized she was actually quite good at maths. So this horse is wearing its blinders, okay? The sole purpose of the blinder is to limit the horse's visual awareness so it can't identify potential threats. If you're hiding from your numbers, that is what you're doing. You are hiding from potential threats, but there probably aren't any threats there to be had. They will become threats. They could become threats if you do not raise your awareness. Avoiding your bank account is like putting the blinders on, and I see it all the time. Blissful ignorance is not going to help you, because it will not be blissful in the long run. So if this is coming up for you, if this is resonating, if you're like, oh my God, that's me, okay, where might that come from? Because again, if you can recognize where it comes from, you can let go of it. You can show yourself you don't have to be that person anymore. How to fix it? Start small. Go grow some financial knowledge. Use the resources you've got in this wonderful membership to help you gaining the knowledge that you need, help you with your understanding of the money situation, help you think about what can I do? What is my role? How can I do this differently? Or find someone to help you do it. Find someone to do it for you. Don't hide from it. And the fifth sabotage is, do you pay yourself? Because I probably should have put this at the very beginning as well. Alongside pricing and undercharging, this is the most common sabotage I see. People not paying themselves. or paying themselves last and therefore not paying themselves anywhere near what they could pay themselves. Now, all of these can be interlinked. This could link back to pricing. If you haven't addressed your pricing, maybe you don't have enough money to pay yourself. If you are overspending, maybe you don't have enough money to pay yourself. If you're not understanding your numbers, maybe you can't pay yourself or not paying yourself because you don't know if you can pay yourself. But it is a huge issue, and it will be compounding every single money sabotage there is. Thankfully, I had a few people in my year one that told me that the first thing I should be working on is paying myself. Would you go and work for someone else if you didn't get paid? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. And yet so many business owners do not pay themselves. So many business owners say, when I, then I'll. I'm not saying you have to pay yourself a salary that necessarily you want right now, but you should pay yourself something. Because the minute that you start paying yourself, you're taking yourself much more seriously as a business owner. So start small, but pay yourself something. Make your goals to grow your salary as much as it is to invest in the business and do all the things you want to do. Seek advice on the best way to do that. That is not my bit, but absolutely every single person, and I hate using the word should, but I'm going to use it. Every business owner should pay themselves. Because if you are not, yes, you're an unpaid employee. And I'd ask you, is that really why you started this? But the message that you are sending yourself is that you do not deserve to earn for the work that you are doing. And that is reinforcing every negative money belief you have. So if it's 50 quid a month, it's still 50 quid a month. Work out how you can give yourself the financial reward that you deserve for the work that's going in. Pay yourself as soon as you possibly can. And I do appreciate at the very beginning, there might not be anything coming in. I mean, the minute there's an income, okay? Make that one of those. Because again, it's that piece about what's it reiterating. And if you're not paying yourself, again, I'm like a broken record because the stuff is the same stuff. Why aren't you paying yourself really? And you'll tell yourself, well, I don't earn enough, okay? Then I could say, well, okay, well, why aren't you earning enough? What's really stopping you earning more? Is it pricing? Is it this? And there could be 100 answers. But just pick at the scab, so to speak. Just check in with why you're not paying yourself, alongside the other 4 sabotages too. So the 5 sabotages, I now want to do them from memory because they're not written in front of me. The pricing, are you pricing correctly or undercharging? Are you giving away too much free stuff? Where does that come from? Investing, are you holding back from investing in you, your business, the next piece of software you need that will actually grow and make your business easier? God, I feel like I need some help because I've forgotten all my own sabotages. Knowing your numbers, playing yourself. Come on, Shelley, there's number 5. I can do this, she says. Right, I can do this. Right, go back. Pricing, investing, spending, hiding from numbers, and paying ourselves. The top 5 sabotages I see, they are all linked to money mindset. All of them are playing out in whatever way they are playing out for you because of what you have learned to believe about money, your relationship with money, your ability to have money, your feelings about money, all come from your money mindset. We give way too much power to money. And I'm going to remind you, like my bear hand up, I am not saying I've got it all sorted. It's never about money. It's about what money can bring you. It's about what you've learned to believe about money. Money is just the thing in the middle. If you want money to bring you freedom, nice things, solutions, it can. But the real question is, do you believe that? What do you believe about money? Or more importantly, what have you believed about money until this moment? And how is it playing out for you right now? Because today is the day you get to flip the script. Today is the day you get to realize that actually that belief doesn't have to be true. It's not your truth now, and it does not have to be your truth from this moment forward. Every single one of you is deserving of money. You are capable of looking after money. You can learn if you feel you need to. You are capable of controlling your spending. You are allowed to spend. You are allowed to invest. You are allowed to keep. You are allowed to do whatever you want and need to do. You get to choose your money beliefs because it's your mind. So with that, I'm going to finish on a really simple quote. Money is a tool. It will take you wherever you wish, but it will never replace you as the driver unless you let it. I am very happy to take any questions. That is just a QR code. You can come and give me a follow if you want to, okay? I talk about money mindset a lot because it is one of my own subjects that I've had to work really hard on. I'll talk about other mindset stuff too. So yeah, give me a follow, Shelley Bosworth Coaching. I'm really happy to take any questions or kind of delve into anything that might come up for anyone, if there is anything. And hopefully that's been helpful.
Always helpful. Love that. Thank you so much. There is a, sorry, I'm just checking the things. We have got one. So Nisley said, that was wonderful. Thank you. I agree. She said, is there any correlation in belief with regards to working hard to earn money, or is that the natural process of owning a business?
Great question. So my simple answer is very probably, Leslie, honestly. So I'd ask you to think about, when you think about that, working hard to earn money, I believe I have to work hard to earn money. Something I often say to people is actually say it in your head a few times and just see if you can notice whether anybody else's voice is there. So I'll tell you, as I say that, I can tell you straight away, my dad's voice comes in. So I was absolutely brought up and watched and learned that if you want to earn good money, you're going to have to work really hard for it. I think that's a bit of a generational thing too. So my answer to you is that I believe there is a correlation, that somewhere along the line, you have probably been shown an example, and it could be a good one, by the way, of someone that's worked really hard and then had the success, or you've been told that's what we have to do. I think it then plays out even more in owning our own businesses, because there's a lot of narrative. Let's also talk about kind of mindset and beliefs there. Huge amounts of narrative that running your own business is going to be a lot harder than working for someone else, because it's even today, despite the amount of people that run their own businesses, still the exception, not the rule. And most people, and if you think about the school system, we are educated to go and get a job, not to run a business. So naturally, there is an added layer of belief that running a business will be harder. Might get better rewards, but it will be harder because that's not what we've been taught. Does that make sense? And does that answer?
It makes sense to me. Hopefully.
I'd kind of do, yeah, great.
Yes, thank you so much.
Brilliant. Delve into kind of what have you seen around working hard, or what have you heard and learned around working hard?
Oh, that's great. And yeah, a couple of other comments. Philip says, great talk, thank you so much. And Lionel said, enjoyed this talk. Thank you, Shelley.
Absolute pleasure.
And yes, thank you so much. And it was really funny because even though we've spoken about this so many times before, today there's been a couple of light bulbs for me there as well, especially how I grew up around money. I, similar to you, rebelled, and I've gone the other way because my mum, very much victim mode, sat back, what can come to her, where I've gone out and I work. But yeah, it's very interesting. And yeah, just for clarity and to share, I do a lot of those sabotages as well. We're works in progress.
As always, works in progress. And as I said at the beginning, I think everybody at some point taps into some of those things. And the piece where you said there, you have a light bulb, and we've done lots of this, we've talked about this, you've known me a long time, I bang on about the same stuff, but I have light bulbs when I'm doing these things because it's always there, it doesn't go away, it's remembering it and noticing, is it playing out for me right now?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, thank you so much. I really loved that. And yeah, I know I've had a message from a couple of people saying, please tell me there's a recording. So yeah, there's definitely other people that are looking forward to watching this as well that couldn't join us today. So yeah, thank you very, very much. Oh, sorry, Lana's just asked a question. When we go away and do the work, asking ourselves these questions, what's the process to change the beliefs?
Yeah, so it's a swift answer because that is a whole other session, Lionel. But here's you'll have heard me say a few times, check the facts, check the facts. So the number one way to shift a belief, when you identify a belief that is not working for you, the key is to challenge that and show yourself a new truth. And I use that word truth really importantly. Two things can be true at the same time. What you've always believed can be true to you at a moment in time. But actually, when you ask yourself, is that really true? Let's use the example. I'm really bad with money. Okay, so I'm not, by the way, I'm saying that's a belief. So I have a belief I'm bad with money. Actually, is that true? Is that 100% true 100% of the time? Can I find examples in my life of where I have been good with money? Almost definitely. So you start to introduce yourself to the possibility your belief is flawed, and you start to outweigh it with other beliefs, other truths to the contrary, and then you show yourself how to continue building upon those. So I'm bad with money, but actually if I did this, I would be better with money. But I'm going to do that, and I'm starting to change my belief because I'm showing myself a new truth. That was quick, but I hope it made sense. Go.
Yeah, you said brilliant, thank you.
Excellent.
And Nicola's also said, thank you, very thought-provoking, so lots to go away and think about.
Yeah, it's a big subject. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no, loved it. Thank you so much. Yeah, we will close now because I've just realised the time, and bang on time as ever. She's a pro, can't you?
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Yep, this is just said, I appreciate this webinar. Thank you all. You're very, very welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
I'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks everybody for coming. Bye.